What's up everybody, and welcome back. I don't know if it's just me, but villainous romances seem to be on the up and up, and I love it. So today I'm recommending what might be the least villainous manga. The case where I followed the freezing lady and she doted on me like crazy, which is being made by Isaka Takato and is 6 chapters. It's a romance comedy fantasy villainous, and it's based on a light and web novel that sounds like it has 2 routes, one with action and the other with more romance focus, and this adaptation is based on the romance one. One thing to keep in mind about adaptations really quick is chapter release often is sporadic. Just want to let you know of that before you start reading this. Regardless, I'll wait for the next chapter every time because I love this so much, in large part due to the characters of Gray and the titular freezing lady, Alicia Osland. So right off the bat, you can obviously see there's a lot of plot, as the story opens by showcasing their relationship dynamic and what this manga is really going to be about, which is Alicia's image being rehabilitated. Because we start off with Alicia attending some sort of party and immediately seeming to start trouble by calling out the chef who prepared the food for the night, and everyone commenting on it like, here she goes again, the Lady of Frost is about to throw a tantrum. And her image of being this nightmare of a person is so severe that the chef drops to his knees in front of her and begs for forgiveness before Gray steps in to clear up the matter. Because Alicia isn't actually a villainess, she's just horrendously awkward and inarticulate, and because of that, she always either says the opposite of what she means or says what she means so poorly it always comes out wrong. So one of Gray's main duties as her personal attendant is to translate what she said into the way she actually meant it. So when Alicia criticized the chef, Gray has to translate that she was actually saying she loved the food, and though no one believes him, Gray points to the table of 5 plates she cleared on her own as his proof of translation, and the fact that she did is proof enough for the people to believe him. And as far as opening scenes go, I think this was fantastic because it shows you their dynamic not just in public but in private, as she drags him out of the party, being a bit embarrassed obviously, but then telling him thank you, and she'll never forgive him if he ever leaves her side. And this is just 15 pages into the first chapter, which is 50 pages. And in that time, I was already sold and hooked on this manga. But it just gets better, because we get a short flashback of Gray growing up, where he says he had no mother, an alcoholic father, and an older sister who wanted to marry a nobleman and find happiness, and that she's the one who taught him how to treat a lady, and is where he learned to interpret what Alicia is actually saying, because his sister was similar to her. That's all we know about Gray's sister so far though, because she left the house before he did, and Gray only left because his father stole the money he had saved up for the Night Academy to pay off his debt and get drunk. So Gray beats the crap out of him before leaving and finding a job posting to live and work in the Duke's villa. He obviously gets the job, and several warnings about Alicia because she's such a problem that her father essentially banished her to live there after she got kicked out of the academy and banned from social events because of her attitude. But after Gray encounters Alicia for the first time, he can tell immediately she's actually a super caring person who's just the absolute worst communicator. But because Gray's able to see that, he instantly charms Alicia by complimenting her, saying she's beautiful inside and out, and is blessed to be able to work for her and talk to her. And for a girl everyone basically hates, that was enough to capture her heart and make her obsessed with him, to the point where she won't go anywhere without him, points him to be her personal attendant, says that they're soulmates, and already in chapter 5 says she's in love with him. And like I said before, I was 100% in on this manga after the first 15 pages of chapter 1, and every chapter after has just made me fall more and more in love with this, because on the surface it is a somewhat typical romance fantasy that you have probably seen before. I can't deny that, but its execution, the art, the characters, the angle of the villainous story, and the underlying unfolding story is what makes this so special. Because under the surface, this is also a story about two people who feel like they don't belong anywhere, finding a place to belong, which is with each other. And at several points in the manga so far, Gray has mentioned his own trepidation to cross the line with Alicia and feeling like he doesn't deserve to be there because he's not just lowborn, he's bottom of the barrel. And for his whole life, he's been reminded of that and told no one wants him. Obviously, the alcoholic father and no mother thing left him with some trauma that his relationship with Alicia, I assume, will heal. Whereas she had everything growing up, but was rejected by everyone around her because of her inability to communicate. So you have two people that are opposite sides of the same coin, with the guy who was rejected because of status alone and the girl who was rejected because of inability to communicate alone. So both of them feeling out of place and rejected and bonding over that and finding comfort in each other because Gray knows what Alicia actually means and who she actually is, and she's able to actually properly speak to him, and she doesn't care at all about his social class or past. So them connecting just makes sense, and more sense than others where it's they're just in love with their maid or butler because they're hot and nice. This manga is fantastic, and I love everything about it so far. From the underlying depth and reasoning to the villainess not actually being a villainess and just a horrible communicator, and the reasoning behind Gray and Alicia's relationship developing and being together all the time, being the rehabilitation of her public image, is so much fun. And I know it will lead to very comedic and adorable moments because it already has. So they're both fantastic characters, and I think I've said enough about both of them for you to understand who they are as characters, but just to summarize, Gray is a very nice and genuine guy who doesn't hide his feelings and really defends the people he loves. He obviously has a bit of a complex about his social status and a bit of a fear to lose the place that he found beside Alicia by crossing that social status and relationship line with her. Alicia doesn't care about that at all and wants Gray to dance across that line like it doesn't exist. Mostly I think it's from the rejection she got from the nobles, making her basically not care about any of the status stuff, but at the same time, she is also proud of her nobility and wants to represent her family name properly, which is something that has been impossible for her until Gray. But with him in her life now, we see she's kind, gentle, and attentive to everyone, but she's only possessive over Gray. There is another butler and maid that have been introduced and are friends with Gray, who I'm sure will get more time and development as the story goes on. And then there is the chief butler, Maya Lorix, who works for Alicia's father and is a real supporter of Gray and Alicia, but doesn't want them to cross the line. But at the same time, I feel like she's going to be one of those just don't let me see it kind of characters. But so far, everyone introduced I have liked. My main hope with this, like many before, is the consistent and quick chapter updates because it's so good. But like I said, with it being an adaptation, the chapter releases tend to be a bit sporadic, so if by a miracle they're able to be monthly, I'll be so happy. My only other hope is that it doesn't take too long for Gray to cross that relationship line. And it doesn't even have to be an actual relationship, but essentially being in a secret one where Gray's more comfortable and open to being romantically expressive with Alicia, even if it takes longer for them to put a title on it or till the end for them to be 100% together. I just don't want him to fight the inevitable for too long, and I know I 100% wouldn't. However it goes, I'm definitely going to be reading this. It's a top of the list for me right now, and I can't wait for more, but unfortunately, it will probably be at least a month for another chapter. So if this seems interesting to you, please check it out and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want more recommendations, check out the Why You Should playlist linked below. Other than that, I'll see all of you in the next one.